What's up, everybody? This is Rashawn McDonald, straight out of Atlanta, Georgia, based originally Fifth Ward, Texas. And you listen to Black Man Sundays.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
Winning TV executive producer. This brother owns 3815 Media Incorporated. This brother consults Stephen A. Smith, Sherry Shepard. He's produced and written for Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Monique, Gabrielle Union, the Mowry twins. That's T and Tamara Mowry for y'all not to know. Jamie Foxx and Steve Harvey. This brother rocked with Steve Harvey for 16 years. So you know this, he got to be a bad boy. And I don't know too many people that's a comic. This brother's a motivational speaker, a social media influencer, a sitcom writer, and his brother can bake. He's an award-winning baker. So without further ado, Rashawn McDonald, welcome to Black Men Sundays, brother. How you doing?
Thank you. Appreciate just appreciate being alive, man. You know, God is good. When that perspective happens as you get older in life, you start seeing more and more of your friends die or people die. That's all part of getting old. But you have to realize that age should never be an excuse in what you're trying to do with your life at that point that you realize how old you are. A lot of people use that as an excuse for their future.
So that's where I want to start. You know, we talk about generational wealth, finance and business and mental health, but we're going to talk about the health and wealth conversation because I feel like brothers getting lazy when it's time to go to the doctor. You know what a lot of brothers tell me? My baby mom, I have 4 or 5 kids, my baby mom or my girlfriend, my wife, when they go to the doctor and they get their checkup, as long as they're good, I know I'm good. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm doing a big event coming up on April 27 called Black Men Wellness Day in Houston, Texas, on the campus of the University of Houston. And it's about that. It's about Black men who are not prostate cancer screening. It's a free race. It's a 5K race that's free. The screenings are free. And what we've discovered is that Black men are walking around ticking time bombs. When I say ticking time bombs, high blood pressure. 20% of the people who take high blood sugar tests, we have to rush them to the hospital at the race. Okay. We've learned that prostate screening, the sensitivity of what Black men have about that. I don't know why that's happening. And then also when you talk about, what COVID brought as far as obesity and also high cholesterol, all those things tend to be a normal conversation. As when I grew up, we just like to eat good food. As we grow older, we're becoming victims of our bad habits.
And let's talk more about that event. Like, it's going to be Houston, Texas. One thing I saw, I was like, well, y'all going to be out there at 7 a.m. Y'all going to be out there bright and early.
Well, you got to do it early if you're going to be changed, because for that heat hit you. Okay, now, it's all right to walk now. It's a different walk at 7 a.m. versus noon, okay? Let's be real now. And we're not there. We're just there to make sure that individuals understand that we have a voice. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm out there talking to women to convince the men that they love, or their brothers, or their sisters, or their co-workers to come on out there too. So it's not just an event for Black men. It's an event for families. It's an event for people to be able to get their people out there, particularly Black men out there, so they can be tested and become more medically aware. Because you can't spend money if you're dead.
And let's take it back for a second. Let's take it back. You from the Fifth Ward, Houston, yes, Texas, University of Houston graduate with a math degree.
Right.
How did you come out the Fifth Ward to produce and write for the likes of Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey? Let's have that conversation. But let's take it back.
Okay, that's great. I love to take that back. My father was a truck driver, 3rd grade education. My mom graduated from high school, 6 sisters, 2 brothers. Grew up in a 2-bedroom shotgun house. If you're not familiar with that term, open the front door, open the back door, shoot a shotgun through the house, no bullets hit the wall. You're in a shotgun house, my friend. That's what I grew up in. And so, but what gathered me and made me the person I am today is mentorship. And back then, that term wasn't used that way, like it used today. People fully understand the value of mentorship, but people saw talent in me because I tell everybody, when I came out of high school, I wanted to be a forklift driver. I didn't want to be go to college because when I was 15, my father, who was a truck driver, he gave me my first job was on a was one of his routes. It was loading trucks. So the first black men I've encountered were guys who were loaded boxes on the trucks with forklift drivers. And I thought that was amazing. So it lets you know that how impressions can be made of you and your aspirations can be shortened by just who you view so early in life. And that is how I started my life. And I graduated from high school with top in my class. And guess what? I got a job as a forklift driver because that was my dream. But what happened was I did not know how to drive a forklift very well. I lowered a box on a young man's hand and broke it and got fired. I went back to high school just to talk to my teacher and tell her what was going on. And she told me that she said, well, you go to college now. I said, what do you mean? I said, I didn't fill out any applications. And she told me, yes, you did. She had me fill out a piece of paper that I didn't know what I was signing and submitted all my information to the University of Houston. And that's how I got in college.
At the University of Houston, I mean, you graduated with a math degree.
Right.
Let's talk about that because I mean that's no easy task. It's not like you got a swimming pool management degree. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's put it this way. It took me 7 years to graduate because I was so busy trying to get all the easy courses, trying to figure out how to get out of school real quick. And so I was in college for roughly 5 years, and I was still a sophomore. And so because I was just dropping classes before professors would fail me, and then I would sign up the next semester. Just what course is the easy? Is that easy over there? And finally, I pledged. I needed a goal. And I'm a very goal-oriented person. I always speak about goals when I speak with people. 30-day goals, 60-day goals, 90-day goals, because the average Black person thinks check to check, or they think no further than 30 days, because that's the mentality that we have. We got to get into the 60 and 90-day windows. And so what happened was I knew I couldn't graduate in 3 years or 4 years based on the fact I was still a sophomore. And so I saw that I could pledge or make a Psi Phi, and there was a pledge program was supposed to be 6 weeks, turned out to be 13. Okay, 13. Supposed to have been 6 weeks. And when I pledged, that enabled me to lock down my first goal. And then when I locked my first goal, then in that fall, I became vice president of the student body at the University of Houston, and I made the dean's list. And then everything was just rolling. It was just rolling once I started setting goals and I started setting windows for success. Then I speak about that a lot because a lot of people can't see things because they don't look at things from a standpoint of terminology. When I say terminology, I mean like, when you buy clothes, you don't buy clothes on a 3 month plan or a 36-month plan. And those are the way you make money. You make money by setting these long-term goals. You make money by sitting up there speaking to people about generational wealth. And when people, that term is thrown out a lot, but really, if you understand compound interest, that is how you can be wealthy. It's compound interest.
Definitely. And this is like our episode, like 110th episode, and we've had accountants, financial advisors,
Yeah.
and certain terms like compound interest investing comes up every week, and I'm glad that you brought that up. And that's where I want to transition to now is, because I see as well, you're also the host of Money Making Conversations Masterclass. You over
Right.
1.5 million downloads monthly. I got to salute you, my brother, on that. That's awesome. But let's definitely, man. But let's get some financial tips, because brothers, when we talk about generational wealth on this show, we've had different perspectives, but I would love to get your perspective on generational wealth. How are you? I mean, because this, from your resume, man, I know them checks looking nice over there. So
Well, let me just be honest with you. It's easy to become a millionaire just through an insurance policy. I'm gonna just be honest with you. An insurance policy will make you an instant millionaire. So let's get that joke about being a millionaire out. The difficulties of being a millionaire out the way. Okay, just get your insurance policy. That value will make you a millionaire. Okay, what you have to start with is ownership. And ownership is not a car. Ownership is not clothes. Ownership is not jewelry. Ownership is property. We all know God can't make another planet. And so if you buy something, you own it. and you can hold on to that. That's where the root of generational wealth come in equity and property. You know, that is really the basis of what it is. If you start understanding that, then you can grow out of it. The simplest way to grow money is through compounded interest. I mean, and we're not talking about major money. You're talking about if you put in $100 a month into an account, which is $1,200 a year, you could be a millionaire in less than 35 years if you stayed in it consistently. And I'm not lying about that. That is real true. Now, you can vote, you can get into stock, and I'm not avoiding that, but I'm just talking about just keeping it very simple and keeping it very accurate. Buy property, property can be land or property can be homes. Invest in your money into compound interest account, which will not strangle you, which means you ain't putting down $1,000 or $5,000 to buy stock. You put down, because that's what happens is that you $50 a month might not be able to buy you a stock. You know what I'm saying? But $50 a month into a compound interest account can enable you to grow incorrectly. I'm gonna tell you something. All the billionaires say compound interest. You can talk to Buffett, you can talk to all of them, and they'll tell you that's the way to go.
Oh, I see you ain't come to play with us today, brother.
Well, I can't because I get so frustrated with individuals who sit around here talking about making money, and you can make money in a lot of ways, Corey. And I always tell people the bottom line is that if you're making money, hold on to it. If you're going to hold on to it, that means that's where the term generational wealth comes into. That way you can pass it to your child or pass it to a relative, or you can set up a scholarship foundation. My wife and I, we have a scholarship foundation that's set up at the University of Houston where we give $5,000 scholarships to African American students who are interested in the STEM or optometry fields. So you have to give back, and you have to be able to uh, consistently have an organizational plan in place. But my success is basically tied to trust, respect, and mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship. That's something that we talk about a lot on Black Men Sundays. You know, I'm a mentor. I'm in
Mhm.
Orlando, Florida. I'm a mentor in Apopka, Florida, which is a suburb of Orlando, and I speak to
Right.
kids about that. You know, but one thing that I do want to talk about, where brothers that are entrepreneurs are saying,
Right.
okay, I quit my day job. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. They thought they was going to work from 9 a.m. to noon. They were like, man,
No.
I'm
Yes.
working more than I worked on my day job. So a lot of these brothers are starting to feel discouraged as entrepreneurs. So what advice would you give for up and coming entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are going through the struggle right now?
Well, let me just tell you this. If you're working a 40-hour week job and only working 40-hour week job, then you should not be an entrepreneur. Because in order to be successful at a 40-hour week job, you have to do things that they're not paying you to do, which means extra things, learning skill sets that is not on your resume, walking into the office saying, what can I do more? Staying late, arriving early. These are the tools that you win. The best opportunity for you to learn entrepreneurship is somebody paying you at a 40-hour week job. But the worst experience is you just working 40 hours a week. In other words, when you go to sleep, you wake up because the alarm clock wakes you up. When I go to sleep, I wake up because I have tasks I have to do that day. And that's a different get up. See, I don't drag out of the house. I don't go to work trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I work at a full time job and when I work as an entrepreneur. And the average person who fails in entrepreneurial activity are people who never learned the skill when they had an opportunity when they were doing full time work.
Great information, man. And one thing I see when I'm on social media, just when I'm talking to young folks, you know, I'm talking
Mhm.
like the 18 to about 25-year-olds. A lot of them say, man, I want to be a boss now. How can you be a boss if you've not been a worker yet? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, what's wrong with that? I like that mentality. Like I said, I always admire people who figure it out way before I figured it out. Because I'm older than both of you guys. So I grew up in an era where was told to be humble. You know, don't step out there before your time. Wait in line. Understand your turn will come. All these terms that hold you back, that slow your dream. Now we're in an era where, dude, I grew up where the Dick Tracy phone was a joke. We live now where the Dick Tracy phone is a reality. So that means that the mentality of how you go about being successful has to be different. I can go on social media right now and tell somebody I'm an outstanding baker, and guess what? People are like me. That couldn't happen 15 years ago. That couldn't happen 20 years ago because now you have to go and ask radio for permission to promote your brand, TV for permission to promote your brand, or go to a newspaper for permission to write about your brand. You can do it all yourself, but you got to have a plan of action and an approach. So you look at young people. Oh, they trying to get ahead. They don't want to work hard. Well, guess what? College ain't for everybody. We live now in the certificate era. In other words, people want a certificate to be a Google expert in 6 weeks. They want to be a Facebook expert in 4 weeks. That's fine. When I was growing up, it was called junior college. It was called community college. So I really get annoyed when I hear people talk about young people like they trying to get ahead when guess what? It's just a short game. When I was growing up, we had a language called shorthand. I don't know if you're shorthand. Shorthand is just LOL in text now and in social media. You know, laugh your ass off. LAMO. You know what I'm saying? So we're not changing things. What causes us is that we think that somebody wants to get ahead. Hell, you wanted to get ahead. That's why you got this podcast. That's why my man's listening. That's why people are doing this every Sunday. Somebody telling you to not even do this, Corey, because guess what? Because they don't think like you. So if they don't think like you, why should I listen to you? You're cutting into my dream. You're cutting into my aspirations. You're limiting my opportunity to be great. I always tell people, 2 people changed the game for me as far as marketing. Muhammad Ali, when he told everybody he was the greatest, and Deion Primetime Sanders. Those guys understood marketing one-on-one. Tell everybody I'm great, go out there and show everybody I'm great, and get paid for it. Okay, let's talk about, is that wrong? No. That's what TV commercials do. When a car comes on, they're telling you they got the best car. When McDonald's come on, they tell you they got the best burger. When Chick-fil-A coming on, they tell you they got the best chicken. They bragging too. So we have to understand that the system that we live in, we now have an opportunity with social media, with YouTube, with digital trafficking to be a participant. So yes, I can be a boss at 18. Yes, I can move a lot faster. And the rules of understanding how I can be successful are different now because guess what? I can build my own brand and control my own outcome.
That's great information, man. And let's talk about your company, 3815 Media Incorporated. Let's talk about that, the impetus of that.
Well, the whole approach of that is that, when I started managing Steve Harvey in 2016, my whole approach was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I wondered about trying to figure that out because when you imagine somebody that big for 16 years, and I've known Steve longer than 16 years, by the way, it really gave me my first opportunity as a sitcom writer in 1993 when on ABC's Me and the Boys. And even before that, I met Steve Harvey. He was my opening act as a stand-up comedian. So Steve and I go way back. And then that's a good thing. But when our relationship ended, me managing him, I did not have a voice. I did not have a brand. My brand was tied 100% to him. So I had to figure out who is Rushion McDonald. So I chased producing TV shows. I chased managing talent. I chased everything. But in the end, people still associated me with Steve Harvey. So it took me a period of years before I was able to carve out my own voice. And that's what 3815 Media does. We are big, strong advocates of HBCUs. We do contracts with Fortune 500 companies from television. We do a lifestyle podcast for sickle cell that's hosted by Kier. We do a lot of things in this business from a standpoint. I'm one of the producers on the Stephen A. Smith podcast that's on YouTube. And then I brand consult Sherry Shepherd for a talk show. And so these are just some of the things I do that everybody's aware of. These are names that you know. Oh, okay. I know those things. But in the end, I'm a community leader, man. I think the basic core of my company is about changing the outlook and perspective of people of color, especially African Americans.
I would like to get some advice because one thing that I saw on your resume is you're a branding expert.
Yeah.
So,
I really am. I really am.
So, hey, we Black Men Sundays, we trying to get lit. You see, I got the generational wealth shirt on. We on news and all that. What advice would you give for brothers and sisters, even myself? That's why I do this podcast. I'm not an expert. I bring the experts on so I can get the advice. What advice would you give when we talk about branding, especially for like the podcast generation?
Well, it was really interesting. I remember when I was named into the Personal Managers Hall of Fame. He came in to get your award and all that stuff. And William Shatner's manager at the time, I didn't know the guy. He said he got up there and started speaking. He said, it was unsolicited. He said, Rushion McDonald changed the game. I was just sitting there. First, I was shocked he said my name. And he said, and I was listening. He said, because my whole goal when I started managing Steve Harvey was, remember I worked for IBM, and IBM had rules of behavior, brand association, how you presented yourself, how you protected what people thought of you. That's what major corporations do. And so when I started managing Steve, I approached him the same way. I treated him like a brand, and that brand, which is really popular now. At the time, I was just following management skills that were trained to me by IBM. I was treating Steve Harvey like he was IBM. And so my number one goal was to start associating him with products that he wouldn't normally be associated with. Ford, Home Depot, Disney, all these were brands that you never associated with Steve Harvey. And that was all calculated in my approach because I was building out his brand, his product through brand association. And so when I talk about brand association and I started looking at individuals who do podcasts, the number one thing you have to say is, who are you talking to and why should they be listening? Let me say that one more time to you. Who are you talking to and why should they be listening? Now, we all know this is Black Man Sundays, okay? Now, why should they be listening? Generally, people listen out of emotion, motivation, and fear. Fear is really key because nobody wants to miss out on information. So they're afraid if they miss something, then they're behind. So that means that when you start promoting this podcast, Corey, you have to create a lot of shorts. It's not about just dropping your podcast. It's dropping shorts of your podcast that are nuggets from this show that you can drop, and people will take those nuggets and start sharing them and start building your views. In other words, your most viewed content from this particular episode may not be the whole show. It might be me talking about Steve Harvey. It might be me talking about my life. Might be talking about something else we hadn't talked about yet. But it's important that you chop up this show and start distributing the information to the general fan base that you have so they can, out of fear, start understanding, I can't miss out on this brother. Man, he's dropping some information I didn't know about. That's why it's important. And through motivation, you're doing your part by letting them know, look, I'm here to help you out. I'm here to share you information that you can't get nowhere else. That's important in the process of what you're trying to do as far as your brain.
Oh man, that's great information, man. And let's talk about, let's transition a little bit. We're gonna get back to the finance and all that.
No problem.
Let's have a little fun for a second. Cause I'm sitting here learning. I done soaked up like so many gems already. I feel like Lil Michael. I don't want to pass the mic to my brothers right now. I want to Iverson right now. But anyway, let's talk about you for a minute, man. You a comic. I mean, Like I said in the intro, you written and produced for Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, Jamie, just
Mhm.
Jamie Foxx. I mean, them three names alone, you got to be a bad boy to even step in that arena. But how has your background as a comic, how did that help you produce and write for them?
Well, I wasn't an average comic. That's a difference, you know. I've done Def Comedy Jam. I did it with my buddy Dave Chappelle. You know, and so in fact, it was so funny. It was that I was a couple of years ago. I was in L.A., Beverly Hills, and I was in the Four Seasons Hotel, just checking in. And this guy ran in. And he went, "Oh, you were Sean McDonald?" And I went, "Yeah." And then he was okay, cool. And then he turned and walked away. Okay, hold up, brother. Okay, who are you? Asking me who I am, and then you just gonna walk away. And he said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, man. Dave Chappelle thought that was you, and he wanted me to go in and check and make sure that was you." And so it's moments like that make me realize the impact, the relationships I had over the years that stay with people, you know. And we all know Dave Chappelle, one of the greatest talents in the world. Steve Harvey, one of the greatest talents in the world. Kevin Hart, one of the greatest talents in the world. The bottom line is that, you know, my number one goal is not for you to like me, but for you to respect me. And you respect me through my work ethics. You respect me through my accomplishments. You respect me because of the fact that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to accomplish that. And so, because of the fact that I went through the process, I had to do white comedy clubs before black comedy clubs became popular. And it was so funny. I remember in order for me to do Def Comedy Jam, because I was rejected often when I submitted my tape and tried to audition for Def Comedy Jam. I had to go and do at the time used to call it Bay Area Comedy Competition in Oakland. And you had to go down TK Kirkland, all the boys were down there. And I had to go down there and prove I could make black people laugh in order to get Def Comedy Jam. And that's why I was just telling everybody, you can't. And so when I made the finals, they said, okay, cool, you do Def Comedy Jam. So I could have been one of those people who went, oh man, screw this. I ain't gonna do all that extra work. No, if you're trying to pursue your dreams and people have a vision of what they think you are, then it's up to your job to change it. And so by changing it, cause you to do extra, do it. But a lot of people don't want to do extra. And because they don't want to do extra, then they limit their opportunities to make money and limit their vision. And so when I step in, I talk to you about my relationship with a Jamie Foxx, my relationship with a Kevin Hart, where I was the executive producer with Will Packer, along with Steve Harvey, off of his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. You can go there, executive producer with Sean McDonald, Think Like a Man, and Think Like a Man too. Both movies were number one at the box office. These are things that I'm proud of. I'm just as proud of any when I look at my life because of the hard work I had to do to be able to get my name on a movie. The hard work I had to do to put my name on a movie that went number one twice. That's important, and that's not by accident.
I just want to know the mindset, because you have a variety of flavors of the brothers and sisters that you work with. So like, what's the mindset going into working with them?
Well, first of all, it's their voice and it's their brain. I'm not there to change their brain. I'm not there to talk them into being something that they don't want to be because it's comfortable to me. I am a person that sits down and evaluates who you want to be. And then my job is to get you there. If I can't get you there, then don't accept the job. Don't accept the check. Don't waste somebody's time because these are very talented people who are, I call them generational talents because they work hard. I tell everybody, whether it's Ricky Smiley, I was on the phone with Ricky Smiley yesterday talking about his garden. I have a garden I create. I planted it this past weekend. They got watermelon in there, cantaloupe, jalapenos, collard greens, cabbages, lettuce, uh, Roma tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, cucumbers. And then he sent me a picture of him Talking about I'm clearing this area. I'm gonna have a plum tree. I'm gonna have some tomatoes. So these are the conversations I have in life with everyday people. It's not just that we're regular people too, but I'm very relatable because I do a lot of interesting things in my life, and it kind of plays out on my social media. But a lot of it plays out because of the fact that a lot of people can call me who are famous, and we're not just talking about their careers.
And I like how you kind of segued that for me a little bit because I wanted to get into award-winning baker, man. I'm trying to
Hmm.
figure out what can't you do. A lot of brothers, I had a brother on the show. I actually had a sister on the show last week, and
Hmm.
she actually has a financial and a romance game where she says
Right,
one couple that she works with, the wife was used to her daddy doing the cooking. She married a man.
right.
He was used to his mom doing the cooking. They had some issues. So let's talk about your baking skills because I saw that seasoned fried chicken. I'm gonna have to go and get some of that seasoning off you from, by the way, too. Don't
Well,
don't
it's
let
called Lefties. Lefties Seasons, a black-owned company called Lefties Seasons. Some of the best seasoning I ever encountered in my life. There's a black-owned company you can get online called Lefties. It's for chicken and seafood. You can bake, you can fry with it, but that's another conversation. You want to talk about me and my life. I'm gonna tell you, listen, I want everybody to listen real clear about this. When you're given the opportunity to do something, don't think about it. Figure out how to do it. Let me say that one more time. When you're given an opportunity to do something, don't think about it. Figure out how to do it. That's my whole life. People have used the word Renaissance man. I go in the airport, man, and I get recognized for management. I get recognized for sitcoms. I get recognized for baking. I get recognized for my platform, money making conversation, because some people hear my voice and go, "Ain't you that dude?" I said, "Yes, that's me." And so, why am I successful at those things? Because I get 100%. I don't cheat. I do not cheat. I do not cheat. I do not take shortcuts. If I put a cake on my social media, I made that cake. If I made some chicken or made some shrimp etouffee or some gumbo, I made that. Now, how did you get there, Rashawn? Here's a guy who, when he was 18 years old, I come from an all black community, which means that when I got on a black bus on the black side of town, it dropped me off on the black side of downtown. When I got on that bus to go back, I got back on the bus with a lot of black people and dropped me off back on the black side of town. So when I was 18 years old, the first job I got out of high school was in a Jewish deli. That's why I really, because I grew up with six sisters and two brothers. So my mom, very traditional, wouldn't let me go in the kitchen to cook anything. All I could do was just eat and watch. So I never cooked anything in my life until I started working in the Jewish deli. That's why I started making, Reuben sandwiches. I started making the German potato salad. Uh, I started making meatballs, all kinds of stuff. I started learning the dynamics. And so what happened was I went to University of Houston, lived in the dorms, and I used to start my hustle. It was the first time I started hustling. In other words, I would make pizzas in the dorm for $5, pepperoni pizzas and ground beef pizzas. My crust cost 25 cents. My I would get some ragu thick with garlic and onion sauce. That was my sauce, mozzarella cheese, and brother, I had a line out my dough. $5. My profit margin was $4.
Wow, I was gonna say I got my $5 right now. If you want to sit, going to nitrogen overnight mine through FedEx from me.
Well, it was really funny. I was like, social media is a beautiful thing, and it has its curses because if you're gonna love social media, you're gonna also hate it because it's gonna bring some negative to you. Okay, and so you have to realize that that's the part of social media. When you allow your life to play out to people who don't know you, you don't know them, then you've given them the liberty to make comments about your brand or who you are as a person. And so when I look at what I do, what I accomplish, now when it came to baking, I was an accomplished cook until I went on the road as a stand-up comic. And then I was just kind of like got away from cooking. In 2012, when I was doing the talk show with Steve Harvey, him and the executive producer, Alex Duda, pranked me into baking. And so that's how my baking got started. I had never baked anything in my life. So I went home, I said, I'm gonna show them. They say one cake, I'm gonna make three cakes. So I went to the grocery store, which is trying to do memory-based thinking about how my mom baked. I came back home with 3 dozen eggs. Remember, I'm just making three cakes. 3 dozen eggs, 3 bags of 5 pounds of bags of sugar, 2 5-pound bags of flour. I knew I had to get vanilla extract. And so when I made those three cakes and took them to office, I had all these supplies left. So I had and the three cakes were outstanding, by the way. So all those supplies forced me to keep baking because I had to burn it off. And so as I kept baking, as you bake stuff, let me try this, try this. And I had a staff, the Steve Harvey talk show, that was ready to eat anything I put in front of them. And so when I brought it in, they ate it. Whether it was peach cobbler, whether it was cream cheese, or whether it was apple pies, whether it was German chocolate cake, whatever I put in front of them, they ate. That is how I started baking, and that's why I bake today. But I gave 100% though. I didn't like when they pranked me. I didn't sit around going, "Oh man, that's messed up," and go to the store and buy a cake and give it to them and go wink, wink. No, I went out there and figured out how to bake because it was important that I learn a task to somebody that put it forth in front of me. And that's why I always tell people, people are naturally lazy. Let's be honest with you. People are naturally lazy. That's why they don't want to get up out of bed. That's why they don't want to. They want to complain before they about any situation. I'm gonna tell you something, man. If I could stay up without going to sleep, I'll be a happy man. Because I got things I want to do. The longest I've ever stayed up was consecutively, I think it was 52 hours. And believe me, I was vibrating. I was vibrating hard at 52 hours. But I get up. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I get up with the aspirations that between 4:30 and 5:30, that's my time. I can do whatever I want. Ain't nobody bother me at 4:30 in the morning. I can exercise. I can read newspaper. I can do whatever I want. 5:30, I start getting ready for the real world. I leave the door at 6:30, and I'm in the real world. There's no turning back once you get into the real world. Understand that now. Once you get into the real world, there's no turning back. You have to deal with it. You have to have a plan of how you're going to deal with it. If you don't have a plan on how you're going to deal with it, then guess what? You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be disappointed, and you're not going to be successful.
Great information. All right, fellas, the stage is open. Say your name and the city or state you represent, and let's go.
All right, this is Kalali. Kalali Dogbe. I'm living in Prince Frederick, Maryland right now. Got a little, I guess, 3-part question for you.
Okay.
Just listening to you talk, it seems like you've done a whole lot of stuff. You got a wide range of experience. So this is the question that came to me as I was listening to you talk is, first off, what do you think is your greatest skill or talent? How did you identify that skill or talent, and how has it served you throughout the course of your career?
Okay, my greatest skill is telling people their gifts.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
That's my greatest skill. To this day, man, I get so many people telling me, "You remember when you set me down? You remember when you told me?" I didn't want to hear it because I tell you, if you ask me, it was just like Corey asked me about Brandon. I told him, "Hey, brother, you can sit up and drop this show. If you don't start chopping this damn show up, then guess what? You're just gonna keep dropping the show." Okay.
Right.
And because I know this for a fact. I'm just saying, I'm not, I know how this thing works.
Right.
But what the thing about me is that I didn't really admit to my talents till I was in my 40s because I fell victim to everything else that people say. Right place at the right time. Man, you just lucky. Man, God on your side. Yeah. But it's also tied to the fact that I have a talent that's very unique. And in order for me to exercise that and believe in it, then I have to start telling people and accepting the responsibility that comes with that. And because of who I am and because of the success that I have, my life has been several stages. up till I was 18. And I always tell people between the ages of 18 and 24 is when you start establishing who you are as a person. Because when you're 18, you're fearless. That's when you get out of high school, you finally able to make the decision on your own, whether you want to go to college or don't want to go to college, whatever you want to do. That happens when you get out of high school. So right then, you can start making the decisions that you want to make that you feel are right for you. Want to join the military? Go join the military, because you can do that now. But right there, between 18 and 24, is when you develop a skill set that really is going to be the skills that you use to make money on when you're in your 40s and 50s. So I look at people who say they're frustrated with their life. Man, whether it's in a marriage you don't want to be in, a relationship, a job you don't want to be in, go back and think about what did you want to do or what did you do between the ages of 18 and 24? Because that's the life you really wanted to have. If you can still recoup that, go do it. If you don't want to do that because it's so much hard work, then stop complaining and live out the life that you are living, because it ain't gonna change till you're willing to make change.
Thanks for that. That's real though. That's
Yeah.
real.
That's a window, man. 18 to 24. That whatever skill set you develop, whether it's a degree you get or whatever you were doing that made you happy,
Yeah.
then that right there can be recaptured later on in life. But people stop because they put age restrictions on what they can do when they're 40, age restriction on what they can do when they're 50, when they're 60, when they're 70. I was doing a radio show with a nurse, and I said, am I wrong in saying this? Where are all these old people coming from? Because when I was growing up, old people weren't living into their 90s on a regular. You know, you hear on a regular people living into their hundreds. I mean, on the regular. That used to be a big deal. Ain't no big deal no more. People living in their to be 100 or people living in their 90s and looking spry. So that means that you have to change your whole perception on your goals that you can accomplish, because you are able to live a life a lot longer than your parents and especially your grandparents. So when you hit the age of 40, your life is not nearing, your life is just growing.
Mm.
And it's how you take advantage of those opportunities. That's where the vision comes from.
Yeah.
And the vision comes from the perspective that you could be whatever you want to do. Now you have to set a plan in motion. I'm gonna tell you something, man. There is no check waiting for anybody on this call from Social Security that's gonna change your life. No check. Only good thing about getting old is Medicaid. Medicaid, they take care of you because of the medicine that you can get, with no charges. But brother, that Social Security check, nah, it has no value that's going to change your life. So people need to hear that loud and clear, especially when they start talking about generational wealth, because there's no generational wealth tied to a Social Security check.
Just a follow-up question, because you were talking about branding. So, and that's how we got into the conversation about cutting up the podcast and different things like that. Just for yourself, how did you go about like establishing a separate brand? Because you said you had a brand that was attached to Steve Harvey. So your brand was basically, oh, that's Steve Harvey's guy. You know what I mean? Or he did that Steve Harvey did. So how did you go about saying, okay, yeah, I did that. That was that phase. Now I'm doing this, and my brand is now separate from that.
Well, the first of all, the things I've done with Steve is a blessing.
Yeah,
Let's go get that cleared up.
Yeah.
You understand? And what I had to do was establish what were my true talents. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that I didn't have a shingle that said I was management. I didn't have a shingle that said I represented other people. I just represented Steve. I didn't have, I was the executive producer on this talk show. I was executive producer on the morning show. So all these things were branded to him. So a lot of people, even though they knew I was exceptionally talented, they didn't know, could that translate to other situations? So I had to create avenues that allowed and showed people that I could work with different corporations, I can work with other talent, and I had to gain talent trust to be able to build those stories out, the stories that enable me to talk about now and make it realize that I don't have to put Steve at the forefront of my resume anymore. He is a significant part of my resume. My whole thing to anybody who has a thought or has a question The ability to be great is really tied to the information that you know. I've looked in the mirror and realized that my success isn't tied to who I am, but the people that I have around me. And if you have people around you who don't believe in your dream, who question your aspirations, who don't feel that what you're doing makes sense to them, those are the wrong people in your life. You have to surround yourself with people who are willing to promote you. And I didn't get that. I remember early on, people would see things in me, and I didn't see it in myself. They saw gifts, they saw talent, I wouldn't use the word greatness, that I couldn't fathom what they were seeing in me because I didn't expect that from anybody. And so when I look back on my life, there are no regrets because of the fact that I have to grow within myself. But it all starts with people who constantly say the same thing about you. You got to start hearing it and believing in it. If you do that, then your dreams will become a reality.
I have someone that asked a question in the chat. They say, what do you think or how do you feel about companies dropping the requirements for college degrees?
Well, I think that that's the era we live in because of the fact that no longer are you working at companies for 20 years and 25 years and retiring at companies. That doesn't exist anymore. So however you get in, but know that the requirement for no degrees also means that you operate in a flooded market, okay? That means that if there are a lot of people walking around with these certificates, that means that also the annual salary and the hourly rate is under competition for that particular salary. And so companies are now dropping requirements because guess what? They have identified special needs and special services within their companies. Oh, college degrees are very much still valued. But because of the way the system works nowadays, you don't need everybody to do a certain job. They don't have to have a college degree. And if they hire somebody with a certificate, that means they're going to pay way less than hire somebody with a college degree.
Great information, because on Black Men Sundays, we've had experts come on, and my man Kalali's engaged them where, some experts that we've spoken with says you don't need a college degree. Others said, a college degree is still important, which I still believe in it because it also allows you to network a little more efficiently and be in a professional space with other professionals and you still have the comfort level, but you're still able to be yourself with that. But before I let you get out of here, man, are you
Well,
enjoying
let me respond to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of the fact that I always tell people this fact about my college degree. My degree is in mathematics. My minor is in sociology. I had a 4.0, straight A, minor, and a heavy emphasis in computer science. I failed. I got one F on my resume. That's in physics. I did not understand physics. I still don't understand how physics work. Okay. I don't even understand how accounting works. I don't even do my own taxes. I hire people to do my taxes because I don't feel like having the pressure of doing those type of numbers. Okay. So that means that there are people like me who are well educated that will always need help. But that means I need specialized help. If you hear how I'm talking, specialized help, which means that yes, you can go to college and get a degree. When you get a degree in college, that means that can't nobody repo that degree. Everybody, they ain't gonna come in my house. You owe somebody. Nope, not with that degree. That degree is bought and paid for with academic training, sweat, and I wrote you a check. Now, when I look at people nowadays who are out there trying to be successful, because of the way the system is set up, you can make money. Streaming has changed the game. I remember when I started doing sitcom back in the early 90s, if you wanted to produce, write your own streaming, your own TV show, there was no place to take it. You could take it to Tubi, you could take it to any production company and get it on TV and make some money. So it's important, Corey, that when people talk about So many people can talk differently, and I love my life because I can debate anybody about what they say about a degree or non-degree because of the fact that I share so many life. I hire people, I fire people, I lay off people. You know, I'm not bragging when I say that. That's an experience that I have. Is a lot of people come on the show ain't hired a person in your life in their life. They don't know what HR means. They don't know about employment taxes. They don't know none of that. But they talk like they know the system. So it's important when people start talking, please make sure they know what they're talking about. I would tell you, I've made enough mistakes and had enough successes. I know what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to academic success, certificates, and not going to college. Because you can be successful at all three of those today. Now, 20 years ago, no. Well, take your butt to college. Today, you can make all kind of money, brother, consistently. It's so funny. It's like, it's just like Shannon Sharp said, he makes more money now with his podcast, YouTube, than he made as an NFL player. Come on now. That's the game you live in nowadays, team. Okay? That's all I wanted to say.
Great information, man. And I got like two more questions for you. I'm gonna ask my man Joe a question in a second though. Are you
Okay.
enjoying yourself on Black Men Sundays, brother?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anytime I can share information honestly, and people can take it how they want to take it. But I tell you this, you can Google me, and I think you see a lot of consistency of what I'm trying to do for you. Like I said, April 27th, anybody got on the call late, I'll be at 7 a.m. trying to get Black men that I don't know to live longer. I don't know to live longer. Why? Because they deserve a shot of hearing the truth. And if my voice, my time allows your daddy, your cousin, your husband, your boyfriend, your partner to live a longer life, then guess what? I've served my purpose on this earth.
Great information. And my man Joe in Winter Garden, Florida asked, what about AI? What's your thoughts on AI development? Steve Harvey could ask AI to write his jokes and scripts. Like, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence?
Let me tell you something. Black people in general have always been late to the tech game, and I'm tired of that. We own more Android phones than anybody in the world, Black people. AI, artificial intelligence, you've been using it anyway. GPS, that's AI. You go on Google and you say, how many people in Texas? That's AI. You talk in your phone. Siri, tell me what's the ratings for the restaurant I'm going tonight? That's AI. So you're already living an AI life. See, that's what people have to realize is that you're already living an AI life. So AI is going to be incorporated in my company from a standpoint of marketing and media transformation because I don't have enough people financially to do the things I want to do. AI is going to help me. Oh, Rochelle, you're going to cost some people some job. Hey, brother, maybe you need to go to college then. Maybe that certificate ain't enough. You see what I'm saying? See, there are ways to get money. I remember when I went to college and I had an option to get my degree in MIS. MIS stands for Management Information System. That degree runs the entire world today, but I didn't know what it meant. And so AI, so for you sit around and you go trying to figure out what it meant, learn how to use it. Before you be sitting on the sideline wondering why I missed the boat. I was talking to a brilliant lady named Alicia Little. That's Little spelled Lyttle. Alicia Little. And she said, Rushion, I've been doing money making conversations since 2017. She said, Rushion, you can just with AI, instead have AI write up a series of books for you, incorporate all that. In the last 3 days, you can have a series of books that can come out every 2 months. and you hadn't written a word through AI. I was absolutely stunned because the amount of technology so that we are not accepting as a reality. So I say this to everybody. We are dealing with AI right now because AI makes our life convenient. Now, the difficulties of AI is how do you use it for your personal gain? That's where the education comes from. That's where the money making conversation comes from. That's where the education comes from. So you better get on that AI horse and don't let it buck you off. They own it for longer than 6 seconds, my friend. Ride it to the horse. The AI horse needs buckle, win, and be a true champion in the AI economics.
Okay, okay. And my last question for you, because I know you probably about to go bake that good chicken.
Oh yeah, man. I'm going to give me a shrimp po' boy. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So my last question for you from me, because you're a social media influencer. I follow you on social media.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Make sure you follow Black Men Sundays back because we starting to boom a little
Absolutely.
bit.
I do that. No problem. Tell my staff. I've learned that, I was doing too much, team. I had HBCU. I had Money Making Conversations. I had Rushion McDonald. I had Rushion's Kitchen. Man, you can't do everything. You have to, at one point, say, look at it. This is who I am. This is my brain. And ride that horse to the finish line. Everything else is a hobby. You hear me? A hobby.
Yeah, I needed to hear that because that's how I'll be feeling with Black Men Sundays. I produce it. Think about it. I'll host it. I'll produce it. I'm editing it. I'm
Yeah.
chopping it up. I'm doing all
Yeah.
that. So my last question for you is when we talking about social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, let's talk about monetizing. Because again, if you're not monetizing, it's a hobby. Let's talk about the monetization of it.
But there are different ways you can monetize it. You can monetize it by marketing your brand because the only way you're going to make money is that, let's go to YouTube first. You have to have a certain amount of subscribers. Like I think it's like 10,000 hours of content, approved content by YouTube before they consider you a position to start monetizing information that you upload to your YouTube channel. Okay. Now, you go to TikTok, you go to these other formats. You have to become an influencer. Influencer can be a person who specifically talks about a particular subject, and they can have 18,000 followers, and they can be an influencer. That means that the people who follow him follow that person for a specific reason. So if they say they follow that person for hamburgers. So that person say, hey, I want you to go buy this hamburger meat, and they go buy it, then guess what? You can start monetizing that relationship you have with your fan base. Now, if you're a person who is a person who throws parties, I'm just using that as an example, and your social media has been built around that. So when you say I'm doing a party for Juneteenth, I'm giving a party for Labor Day weekend, I'm giving a party for New Year's Eve, and people show up, then you can monetizing that relationship with the fan base that you have. It's a good friend of mine, A.S. York. He's a promoter here in the Atlanta area. And every Friday, the first Friday, the Atlanta Underground, he does events. About 4,000 or 5,000 people show up. And he monetizes that through his social media. Not that he's making money through his social media, he's making money through the promotions that he's created and the relationship and the demand for the content that he produces through his social media. So people have to really see, that's a tricky word that you say, Corey, when you say, how do you monetize your social media? Well, monetizing your social media have different levels. Number one, you can monetize your social media a whole lot more if you understand why people are clicking you, supporting you, and following you. Then you understand that there has the value that creates a value where you can, I'm just using this example, Corey, you can start selling hashtag generational wealth t-shirts. That's monetizing your social media. And that's what people, they make a mistake when they use that terminology, because it's not so much that you're making money through TikTok or you're making money through your YouTube subscribers. You're making money based on the brand you built And then you're driving traffic to make money through those relationships. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense because I think, with Black Men Sundays, like I've been thinking about that and I'm like, okay, what drives my audience is they want the gems from the guests each week. That's what
Mm-hmm.
drives the TikTok. The Instagram's been booming. We done have celebrities like yourself come on, and
Mm-hmm.
we start to get a lot of the celebrities followers are following us after
Right.
hearing their celebrities on there. But from my mental standpoint, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm trying to cash some checks off of this as well.
Right. Well, you cash checks on. I believe that one day. I don't know why you can't do a Black Men Sundays Father's Day event. I don't know why you can't do a Black Men Sundays Juneteenth, which is the same day, by the way, event. And I think that we're talking about in April. Why can't you start planning it now? And then why can't you start using that relationship to start getting sponsors, to start paying for stuff? Give me $10,000, give me 15,000, give me 50,000. That is what I'm talking about. It is not hard. That is my gift. My gift is to be able to look at a person like you, Corey, and say, you know something, brother, this is how you can make money. And you go, I never thought about that. Yeah, that's what I do. I see money. That's what I
Mm.
do. So Black Men Sundays should be doing an annual Father's Day Juneteenth event.
And that's great information because we did our first initiative. We did a turkey drive, and that thing went crazy. We was on the news. They had me on the
I
set.
saw it. I saw it.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. So
I
that and
saw
that
it.
and to me that warmed the bus up. But
Mm-hmm.
again, that was more of a donation base to the
Yeah,
community. It wasn't a monetizing for Black Men Sundays. You know what I mean?
right. And I'm talking about monetizing because I know about donation. I know about monetizing. I'm very good at hearing what you asked me. Okay, you the one brought up the turkeys. I know about the damn turkeys. Okay, you talk about making money. Okay, money making conversation. There are profits and non-profits. Okay, now we're talking about for profit. I'm telling you that all these brothers who participate in this, you start galvanizing their energy and say, look, we're going to do this event. And then you start, how many social media you have? How many social media you have? Then you start saying, okay, I got about 75 or 100,000 combined social media bandwidth. Then you put that in a media deck, a sponsor deck. And they say, how are you going to promote this? Well, I got these many followers who are going to promote this on their social media handles. And these are the type of people who listen to my show. This is the age group. This is the amount of money that they income generate. They're married and their ethnic breakdown. All of that is how you make money.
Thank you so much, man, for coming on Black Men Sundays. I knew you were going to drop gems, but that's why I do this show too, because I'm not an expert.
Right.
I'm the average 9 to 5 brother, living life in Orlando, Florida, but I'm trying to figure out how I can be an entrepreneur and how I can maximize Black Men Sundays. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Rashawn McDonald, man, from the Nickel, baby. Fifth Ward,
Absolutely.
Houston,
Absolutely.
Texas. Actually, I
Absolutely.
got one more question for you before I let you go. Because when I've had other celebrities come on the show, a lot of celebrities could be from New Orleans, from Huntsville,
Right.
but I noticed they end up in Atlanta. So what about Atlanta is the
Mhm.
hotbed? Like, what is sexy? Because I know what's sexy about Orlando when I come for the classic or when FAMU play TSU. But from a business perspective, what about Atlanta is really thriving?
Well, you have to realize that what Atlanta is. Atlanta is really the hub of the civil rights movement. Atlanta is the hub of HBCUs. Okay. Let's not forget what Atlanta is for blackness. Atlanta was the first, Atlanta and the state of Georgia were the first state that really started politically accelerating the placement of Black people in positions of power. So when you look at it this way, I mean, this is not DC, this is not Harlem. Harlem's not even Black anymore, by the way. Harlem, New York, it's not even Black anymore. Okay. And so, I know he said Princess George got all that, DMV, I got all that. They got money down there. Okay. But in Atlanta, because of the fact that the political system, and also Atlanta is also the state capital. A lot of people don't know that. It's a state capital. So the core of everything that goes wrong, right, in this state, in the South, happens through Atlanta. And the key thing that makes Atlanta great is Delta Airlines. Because if you're in the South, brother, or you trying to get to the South, you're going to have to connect through Delta and Atlanta. That is why it is the busiest airport in the world. So because of the fact that you're going to come to Atlanta one day in your life before you die, then you're going to start doing business here, because the benefits, the atmosphere, the cost of living works wonderful here, because it's an infrastructure for Black people to be successful. Black people can be successful anywhere. Don't get me wrong. But the infrastructure is set up where there's a great history for Black success, and there's a great future for Black success, because political changes here started here first.
And I feel you, but I got one gripe about Atlanta. The IRS is centered there. So, you know, listen, I wait till the last minute to file my taxes, man. I ain't filing mine until like 11:59 Monday night. But I thought about moving to Atlanta. I said, Atlanta's great. I said the IRS, what they call the IRS is theirs is in Atlanta. I'm scared.
You stay in Florida because you don't pay state tax. Okay. Smart move. Atlanta, Georgia, you pay state tax. But you asked me my questions. Now, I don't care about your IRS issues. Okay. I'm just letting you know why people are living here and why your ass got to come here. Because Delta Airlines is based in Atlanta, Georgia, brother. And one day you're going to come through here because you're going to fly Delta. If you got any means or any thoughts in your life, you're going to have to fly one day. And if you're flying in the South, you're going to come through Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, and Black people going to be waiting on you.
Yes, sir. Because because you know, when I'm a news photographer, so we fly a lot. When I done been in that Atlanta airport, I'm trying to go to LaGrange, Georgia. I'm trying to go to Stone Mountain. I'm trying to go to different parts. We fly Delta. We always cut through Atlanta.
Yes.
I'm like, boy, that airport. I thought Orlando airport was bad. Oof. At least y'all airport is more like, you know, Delta, all the different airlines is sectionalized. Like once you fly into Orlando, it's like gates 1 through 30 go through the same entrance, and it's like, oh, it's terrible. So definitely, man. But Rushion McDonald, man, thank you for all the gems, all the knowledge, all the time on a Sunday. Because I know that oven smelling good over there.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I told you shrimp po' boys.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Waffle
so thanks.
fries, total slump. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. I appreciate y'all, team. I appreciate all the questions y'all asked me, man. And like I said, if anybody offline want to send me a question, I'll respond to it. But more importantly, my podcast is Money Making Conversation Masterclass. I drop 3 episodes, new episodes, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm very proud that it is 1.5 million downloads a month on that platform. And believe me, if you go to the platform, I think right now I got D. Renee Smith. She's talking about mental health. I got Ann Lester. She's talking about financial success. And I talk about Tia. They're talking about the first African-American women who've dropped a wine brand. So that's just dropped today on Money Making Conversation Masterclass. It dropped at 4 p.m. today.
It's a Black man's Sunday.